Good morning, everybody. It's 8:25 a.m., March 30th. Good morning. Um, let's get straight into this watch list. We could talk about what's coming up. All right. So what do we have? Silver, top of the list, up 2.38%. Crude's up 0.81. Bitcoin's up 0.72. Russell's up 0.7. Nasdaq up 0.55. Dow's up 0.53. ES up 0.52. Gold 0.19. Bonds um, basically flat. Dollar is only down slightly, flat. 10-year yields down only slightly. The VIX is down to 19, down 0.63. Let's go to the Fangmans. Let's go to my day trading list. AMD, top on the list, up 1.6. Coin up 1.47. Microsoft up 1.11. Is there a laggard? Well, earlier there was Mbaba, but not no more. Um, no laggard to really speak of. Meta got an upgrade today by Credit Suisse. Um, the market's definitely broken that 40-30 level like I talked about yesterday, right? Let's get to the top sectors. And we're looking at Walmart. I believe just got an upgrade. Now they're up 1.59%. Roblox up 1%. Disney's up 1%. I believe they just had some news about ad tier, I believe. Um, any laggard to speak of? Salesforce, not really, only down 0.10, right? So let's look at the sectors. And semis are leading the pack, followed by real estate. And then who's the bottom? Is there any laggard? Not really. The laggards are defensive stocks, which wouldn't be surprising in right now. So that's that. Um, Today we have GDP. Let's just look at that. Give me one sec here. I'll hit you back with the futures. Um, let's look at that. So we have GDP coming out in 1 minute. Curious if that does anything. Might as well sit here. Um, I don't think that's going to be too much of a crazy mover because tomorrow we have PCE, right? While that's going, I don't think that's going to do too crazy of a movement. But let's just go right into the daily. Um, a couple things I want to talk about here. So, looking at the SPY over these VWAPs, anchor VWAPs, right? We got this from the all-time highs. The white is from the FOMC high. So now we're above all the VWAPs from the October low. So now price gapped up, held the gap, and we just crossed the 50% Fibonacci from this high down to this low. We just crossed it at the 39948 level, right? We closed above it. The next level to look at is the 61.8 retracement, which lines up kind of with this key level here, 405. So that's the next place I see the market probably stopping. You can see we kind of like hit the 50-day moving average yesterday, which is what I was talking about yesterday. So now that we cleared the 50% Fibonacci, I believe our next destination should be this 61.8. So we're looking at 405 to be exact. The 50. Let's see here if I can get the level. This is like 403.71. So it's a little bit of a range here. So that's 43.88, 403.88. Or no, I'm sorry, 403.92 is the 61.8 retracement. All right, now just to show you guys this while I'm talking, the GDP for quarter 4 forecasted 2.7, the actual is 2.6, so a little under. And then we had initial jobless claims. So actually, initial jobless claims hasn't been doing this. They forecasted 196, actually 198. So that actually means the Fed rate hikes are doing something. So I don't really see that did anything to the market. So we'll go back to the daily chart. So yeah, so this level here, 405, is the key level, but then the 403.92 level is that 61.8. So I expect the market to at least test these areas. I don't know if today, but because right now we're at 403.48, so we're about right almost at the 61.8 right now. That's kind of where we're right under it. So let's go look just the black and white. I like how this shows up better with moving averages and stuff like that. So you can see that we hit that 50, and you can see the 403.92, 61.8 Fibonacci right there, and the 405. So this area I expect possibly is the next destination in the SPY. Okay. You can just see the volume here that we've been trading in this area. So much volume. So that's how I'm looking at the SPY. So 61.8 is always the last leg of defense. So let's look at the Qs. So the Qs, we still have this key level for 314.56 above us. Now where are we now? We're right at it. We're right on this key level. So the question is, do we break that today? And do we hold it, and do we move to 320? That's the next key level I have in the Qs. All right. So remember yesterday I was talking about on this day, that was Tuesday, we broke these lows. That was just that ran stops, picked up liquidity here. And I'm saying yesterday that a lot of stocks hit key support levels, and then that was the bounce. Then we gapped up, held the gap, and look where we are now, right? So that was just a liquidity grab from the market. So that's why the 128 level and the futures held, 40.30 and the ES held. So that's why I had a day trade. Made a short about it. I went long on coin. I made money on it, but the real trade was the Amazon long. That's the regret. I should have went long on Amazon instead. That was the prettier trade. That would have been my full profit instead of just getting partial profit on coin. Let's go to the Dow. Now the Dow, you notice, crude just must have made a move. So you can see here in the Dow, we have a key level here, 326.57. We closed above that level yesterday. Where are we at now? 328, 329 about. So we're about approaching this 50% retracement right now. The fib right here. So I'm going to put an alert on that to see if I'd be interested here to see what the market does here. You have the 50-day moving average up here. I'm just curious what the Dow would do here. You do have like a bit of a resistance here, right here. All right, that level's 329.25. That's the 50% retracement on the Dow. I'm going to have my eye on that. We're right there now. Okay. What else? The Russell. All right, the Russell was approaching this level, 176.67 yesterday. Bounced right off the 9 EMA daily. Okay. Now, where is it at now? What's at 176.90? So it's almost at 177. So it's crossed this key level here, and it's almost at the 20-day simple moving average. Okay. Next key level is 181.28, but that's also lines up with the 200-day moving average. Okay, so remember, this has been the weaker, so we haven't even hit the 38.2% Fibonacci, which is 179. That could be the first touch. The better level here is the 181 because it lines up with the 200-day moving average. So I'm going to mark that as a key resistance level that I want to mark for the Russell. Now let's look at the TNX. 10-year yield has made a move up. Right now it's kind of moving sideways. Keep an eye on that. Let's look at the VIX. VIX all the way down here now, 1892. It actually broke 19. So you can see the steady downtrend as we moved higher in the VIX. No surprise there, right? We have support at 1823. I'm going to put an alert there. That's a key support. All right. So we could get support at that 1823 level. I'll keep my eye on that. Dollar. The dollar was a bunch of doji land, but now we're getting some selling, taking out these 2 days here. So let's see, we got a support at 101 here. So let's see what the dollar can do. This is bullish for equities, obviously, and bullish for commodities, hence oil. And I think oil just got a pop because I heard an alert go off, but I'll have to check out that later. All right. So that's what I see in the indexes. So let's move over to the futures. Let's look at the ES. Alrighty. Let's see what we have here. Alright, so we're gapping up again. Okay, pretty large gap. Okay, so yesterday I talked about this in the short that I made, why I went long on coin. Look at that, we came right into that 40-30 level, right? And we pretty much made a poor low. And then that was, once the selling happened initially, because NASDAQ hit supply, and we came right back down here, that's when that's when I went long, held the 40-30, part of my plan, and then we moved higher. Where did we go? Right up to that 50-day moving average, just like I said, right? So that worked out. That plan worked out. Okay. So now we have a big gap. This is no surprise because the 40 level been resistant many times. Now you got short covering, right? So all shorts that were in here are having to, become buyers. They're getting their stops run. So we do have overhead supply here, starting at around 40.90. Okay, made a couple demand zones here as well. So this could be considered this, continuation from this first day move. Whenever you make a move like this, it's considered a test at first, and then if you get follow through, it's the move higher. Still have to see if this has legs, right? Now let's look at the composite profile. Okay, so we still have key levels here, 40, 30. All right. Now you can see volume's thinning out. Okay. And what do we need to happen? We need, right now, the current most traded price of the week is down here. You remember it rolls, but there's a big node. There's a bunch of big nodes here, so it should move high. These are pretty much equal to these. So what you want to see now, if this has legs, is for the most traded price of the week to move up in here somewhere. This needs to move up to here, somewhere in here, to establish new value, right? To give it a place where it could hold and potentially go higher. If it doesn't, and let's say we go into this supply very thin, okay, what usually happens is, if you can't, you run out of participants, you run out of volume, which is participants in the market, you tend to go back to value. And then either that's a pullback to get long, or it couldn't sustain it up here, and we start moving back into range. Right? This isn't what I'm predicting, it's just usually what happens. So we have to see, can we build value up here? That's really the question, right? So let's get into this. Oh, that was a little sharp little move there. So we have overnight high 40.85, overnight low, which is also a poor low, at 40.52. Okay, big gap. Okay, we got yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Okay, very bullish. Here we close at the highs. All right. Now, we're about 80% net long overnight. We have definitely just been buying. I mean, obviously this day there was some selling, but like in the ES, it's just been higher low, higher low, higher low. This is obviously overnight and real-time trading hour sessions, but we're making a move here. Now, how high does this go? I don't know, but we got to talk about what's possible for a trade, right? And we have supply zone up here. Now, if you were long down here, just like psychologically, in a stock, in futures or whatever, and you just been trailing your stops, right? And we have supply up here. This could be your time to take profits up here. Okay. Hence, what goes into the fade. Okay, because this is another gap. Gaps are very hard to trade, right? So let's talk about the first trade that I see. Okay, so when we're about 85% net long, right? Everyone, okay, from the lows here is long. You got to think about that psychologically. Oh, Kobe. I use for my demand zones 4 hour, 3 hour, 2 hour, 90 minute, and then 60 minute. That's what I use for my demand zones. I don't really go slow, like smaller than an hour. So I'm sorry, I just saw that. I don't know how long ago you put that. So let's talk about this, right? Psychologically, psychologically, if you're swinging here, if you had a swing trade from here, you got a nice trade in your hands. Coming to this level, you might want to take some profit. If you're long from here in an equity yesterday, right? You're waking up, you're gapping up. Psychologically, you might want to take some profit. That's setting up a nice fade trade, right? Right into a supply zone. And we have this 85% net long on the overnight, right? And we're just pushing right up now, almost to supply. So, like I said, these trades are a little harder, but we have to talk about it because you have a lot of long. Like you have a little bit of overturn bought, short-term overturn bought, right, in this market. So yeah, see that we're starting to push. So what I would like to see is something like here. We open, and again, who knows what's going to happen at 9:30 in the open. But I'd like to see a push up, get some exhaustion, and then come back down, make some lower highs. And then depending on how the market looks off the open, if it is just profit taking and we're going to hold, how weak or strong the market is, you got a nice trade on your hands here. You can get a quick move down maybe into this demand zone. That's where I'd probably take profit from that trade. Okay. You have the 50-day moving average here too. So that could be a nice trade, right? Now, if you want to go with the momentum, right? Bulls are in charge right now. The momentum trade is okay, even if this happens and you're like, hey, I don't really want to be short. Well, you have your next trade here. So if we do that, or whatever happens here, if we come up here and we do find ourselves here, right? Well, what does this line up with? 50-day moving average on the daily. Okay, yesterday's high. If we come into here, I understand in order for it to close the gap, you might break out of this demand zone, but that doesn't worry me that much because you just have that 50. You have the gap fill here, you have the 50-day, and you have a demand zone. And if you might get a quick pop, you wait, high or low, you might want to go long. Now you're targeting the overnight high. Well, that's the overnight now, but it might not be later, But you'd probably want to target. Like I said, I don't know what the overnight high would be, but you could also target this supply zone right here, about 40.90. And then we have another demand zone here, so like it could even fall deeper. All right, you could fall deeper in here to this demand zone. You want to be a little more conservative, and you say, you know what, I'm going to wait. The only thing here is the gap fill. You start going back into range, that could mean that the buyers aren't as strong. But however, if you started to come across this 50 again, hold, you can go long too. Okay. So this is tough sledding. Anywhere in here for a short. That's why I put the short target here. You're gonna have a lot of stuff to deal with if you're short. Gap, 50-day moving average, two demand zones. It's kind of like tough sledding for a short there. That's why the short is better up here. The only move short, if you wanted to be more conservative, is I'd want to see if the price came down here, broke this demand. Obviously, we fill the gap, and then we hang out down here. There's another demand zone here, and the most traded price here, you would target this of yesterday's most traded price. Tough. I would say it's a little tougher bit of a trade here. That's what I'm seeing, right? And just keep in mind, what could we always see, right? What could we always see if we have a move and it does go back into the supply zone, right? Say it does go back up here. What could we see? We could also see this, right? Let's just say we do come up, try to go higher, we boxed, come back down, we come down in here, and then what we could do, we could just do this today. Doesn't mean we have to just go higher, right? Balance is another part of the market. And what is that going to do? That could bring value higher, and maybe you bring the most traded price of the week up here. And that's bullish, right, for the next move higher. Always got to be open. Okay, market just doesn't rip every day. I mean, we're in another gap up today. Large gap from yesterday. So I'm definitely not getting long up in here. Like, that is just poor trade location, you know. Wait for that pullback. All right, let's look at the Nasdaq. All right, Nasdaq gapping up, right? Now, let me fix this screen so I can bring it more into view here, because this is a mighty big supply zone up here. It's monster. I mean, I don't like drawing supply zones that are that big, but it's huge. Okay, I mean, it spans. It's just huge. I'm just cognizant of it. So, all right. So there's supply up there. So I'm not extremely ecstatic getting long anywhere up in here. You know, nowhere am I want to be long up in here. All right. So that's one. I'm eyeing that. I see it. Starts around 13. Let's see here. 1392. I'm sorry, 130.92. That's where that supply zone starts. I do not want to be long up in here. Okay. So let's look at the Nasdaq. Okay. Nasdaq never went and tested the 128 level that I talked about yesterday. Okay. Never tested that. However, now the most traded price of the month moved to 129.10, which is right here. Also happens to be yesterday's most traded price. So that's the new level today. That's the new level today. You just don't want to see the Nasdaq break this level. Okay. What's above it? Two demand zones that formed. One here, and then one right here, right at that level. Okay. That's going to be hard for sellers to push through. All right. Again, what do we have here? Similar setup to the ES. Okay, so you got to talk about, you know, look at this market, right? We have, well, there's a low there, but there's another higher low, another higher low, and another higher low, right? We're getting thin on the volume here. Can it go higher? Yeah, of course it can. We could even do that, you know, but the more and less people are trading, you're going to roll back a little bit. Okay, doesn't go up forever, but can it go up more than I think? Yep, tends to do that too. Okay, but you have this huge supply zone up here. So let's talk about, you know, again, like I just said in the ES, you're sitting pretty if you were long from these lows. You're holding, you're trailing your stop, right? Yesterday, it didn't close at the highs like the ES did, but it closed right here. All we did is a little dip down and then bought up again, right? So we have a lot of longs in this market, and we have the huge supply zone. All right, so for without getting too repetitive, I apologize if I am. The really trade is, for me, is that I'm really going to look at is what do we do if we're land into supply, we open, we move up into the supply, and we try, let's say, to go higher, and then we start getting higher lows or lower highs. Harder trade, but if you cut through that open, right, people will probably start taking profits, and you know, selling is the elevator on the way down. You know, they say the bull is the stairs up, and then when you sell, it's the elevator down. Okay, so that could take us to at least the gap fill, and then you would target the overnight low or this demand zone. Okay, remember, huge level here, so I wouldn't be too confident. I mean, if you have a lot of contracts or however you're trading with runners, fine. If you took profits on the way down and you just want to see if we can break that level, okay, but that's just going to be tough sledding for you. Okay, so it's similar trades today. All right, obviously, if you're a conservative short that you're like, nah, I gotta see more confirmation, well, then you're gonna wait for this to break this key level, right? And even that would be not the best for me because you're just in this area, which is a chop zone. could go down to this, but to me, that's a tough trade. But you got to leave it there, right? So a little long. Okay, let's say maybe we don't even make it up here into the supply, and we just come down. Now you have a couple options here. You come down, you fill the gap, and then you can bounce. Target supply, right? Or we fill the gap, and we just get people taking profit. It's not a real weak market, and then you hold the demand zone, higher low, higher low, and you go long. That's where you target whatever the overnight high might be, or you go for the supply zone. That's what I want to look at today. That fade off the open. I don't. Now you got to understand, a lot of people are going to be getting up yesterday. They didn't really feel the pain. These shorts here didn't really feel the pain yesterday as much. That's another part of this. It could fuel the short covering. That's what I'm saying, into this supply. But I really have to see how strong this market is off the open to really want to be confident in that fade. But you can see clearly we've been making a strong move higher, fueling that by short covering, and doesn't last forever, and we're thinning out the volume on the top. It's physics. You throw a ball up, it can't go up forever, right? You just gotta make sure I see some weakness in the market. Like, how strong is this market going to be off the open? Are people going to take profits, or are people just going to keep buying and buying and buying? I don't know, right? Let's look at crude. We'll see what crude did, because I heard some. Oh, all right. Well, crude had some selling. All right, crude. Now, crude's in an interesting position here. It's ready for another bullish move. Okay. Most traded price of the week, most traded price of the month are equal. 72.90. This big level here. Okay. That's a big level. Let me get that's a huge level right here. Okay. Remember, when they equal each other, a big move happens. Okay. And now it's just retaining its value here after making this move. You see this thin volume, right? This is called a bullish imbalance. And what that means is it's stacking volume and value here, getting ready to make a move higher because there's no excess at the top. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but that's usually what happens, right? So I am looking for moves back to this level to get long. Because now, takes a while to learn this stuff in the beginning when you're first trading, right? But what's happening here is just, this is all liquidity for crude. All the supply here is liquidity to fuel its move higher, because everyone's short now in here. And once we come back in here, bulls will start initiating a position, got into this demand, and that could fuel it for the next leg higher, possibly go up to 76. So that's what I'm looking for on crude. Crude is definitely an acquired taste because of the moves it makes. So that's the game plan today. All right. We've had some low volume days too, so you notice that the volatility, the volume has been a little lower this week too. So if we want, let's just look at the hourly chart on the futures just to cement it. Give me one sec here. Let's just look at that. I mean, you could just see it in the candlesticks, right? What I was talking about. The exuberant move. I mean, this is like This not even pullbacks really that much. I mean, this is pretty much short covering. That 40-30 was key, right? That's pretty. I mean, you have from here basically double bottom and just rocketing up, right? That's what I'm saying. Without much selling happening. That's why this supply zone is tasty. I expect this to at least test this to go higher. But, that doesn't have to happen. I would like it to happen. I'm not chasing that at all. Not interested in that. All right, let's look at the NASDAQ, right? Look at that move. Double bottom. Boom. I mean, there is not much. I mean, look at this market. Up, down, up, down, up, down, right? And look at this. Boop. It's like a rocket. Well, when you make moves like this, right? And we have the resistance here, 130.49. If you make moves like this, expect a boop, right? Because usually moves are symmetrical, right? Like you just rocket it up. Well, just as fast as that went up, could go down, but then, this could be the move to go into the supply. Here's that big level I talked about today. Okay. But, you don't want to be caught here going long. That's just my point. You don't want to go long here. Because one crack would send this right back here. And that's where you want to think about going long, right? So that's why I'm hoping for a nice push up here. You get some retails trying to go long, and then you make them get in pain, and you fade it, and then you sit and wait for the long, right? But of course, you got to read the market. You got to read the market. You can't just blindly do what I'm saying. So, enough of that rant. Hopefully, you took something from what I'm saying. The levels I keep talking about, they're there for a reason, right? Doesn't mean you have to trade like me, but you can see how simple plans like this keep me grounded. Yeah, exactly. It's been crazy. Um, so I mean, we're starting to get a little bit of a pullback. A little bit of a pullback. I mean, really, right? But just take advantage of it. You got to take advantage of it, right? Can't go up forever like this. People are going to take profit, and when it happens, it should be pretty violent, and you capitalize on it. Okay, so give me a comment, like, or subscribe. Um, Hopefully, if you have any trading friends, you can share this. I'm hoping. I mean, obviously, Nathan and Colby watch, and I know my friend Rosita watches. Hopefully, what I say every day is helping. It makes sense. Um, I love feedback. Maybe certain things I go over, maybe you would love to maybe see less of or more of certain things I talk about. Um, I hope everyone can see the power of the most trader prices. Um, they're just great to just have a bias and a plan, right? And I use demand zones, supply zones. They're just, when they work together, it's a beautiful thing. Confluence is what you want to see, right? So, I wish everybody luck today. I wish everybody stayed green today, patience today, right? Let's follow our plan here. Let's make this plan work out, right? So, that's about it for me. Wish everybody a good day, and I'll try to do a video later. Hopefully, you guys are catching my shorts. Um, yeah, okay, again, follow me on Twitter. Here's my Twitter handle. So give me a follow. I've been posting my shorts there too. So heard my Alexa reminder. Crude open, but I'm only interested, like I said, in that pullback. So there you go, Alexa. Thank you, Alexa. Thank you. I went a little long today. I apologize for that. So that's it for me. I'll see you guys later or tomorrow.